Hello, this is my translation of Book 2 of the Aeneid, lines 438 through 452. All right. But here, or here indeed, a huge fight, as if the other battles, the other wars, foreign to Nusquam were nothing. Noli tota morin rintorin orbe, as if no one were dying in the whole city. Thus, we see uncontrollable Mars, wild Mars, and the Danaans, that is the Greeks, rushing to the buildings. This would be like the palace complex of Priam. Obsessumque acta to studene limen, and we see the entrance besieged by a driven testudo. So testudo is the word for tortoise. It's the tortoise formation that Romans would use in battle, where the shields are interlinked in the front and the top so that they're protected from projectiles like arrows and things like that. And that means that this is an example of anachronism, because that's something the Romans did, not something that the Trojans and classical Greeks would have done. Or at least not very likely, because they had different kinds of shields. So anachronism, rhetorical technique you can use for that one. We'll talk more about a lot of rhetorical techniques when we get through. All right, line 442. Haerent parietibus, or sorry, let me rephrase that. It's parietibus. This I is going to be pronounced consonantally so that you can still get the syntactilic hexameter. So, haerent parietibus scalae. The ladders cling to the walls. And the Greeks, presumably, they rest or they climb under the steps, under the doorposts themselves. And so this has to be like the Greeks are scaling the walls on the outside. I'm personally confused by the doorposts. If they're climbing on the doors, maybe they're hiding under the entrance, but they've got to be on the ladder. So it just has to be a way of describing them going up there. Anyways, clupeosque ad teles nistris protected. They thrust, that is, they hold something outward. They thrust their shields towards the weapons with their left hands. They grasp the rooftops with their rights. The Dardans, that is the Trojans, in turn, rip up the towers and all of the roofs of the houses. So they're taking apart the towers and the roofs of the houses to use as weapons. Line 446. His se quando tima cernunt extrema yen morte parant defendere tellis. So with these things, when they see, that is the Trojans, when the Trojans see the endings, now at the final death, they prepare to defend themselves, his, with these weapons. So se is the object of defendere, his, tellis go together. All right, here's how they defend themselves. Auratasque trabes, the golden beams, the lofty honors of their ancient ancestors. They hurl them down, they roll them down. Others, that is other Trojans, block. Technically, this is the word we want to use for like besiege, but here it's going to be like they defend, they block the innermost doors, iamos fores, with their drawn weapons. They preserve these, that is the innermost doorways, in a packed battle line. Our spirits inspired again, helping out the buildings of the kings, that is the king's palace, and lightening the men, lifting the men up with help, and adding power to the conquered, strength to the conquered. All right, so that's my translation. And going through, let's look for some rhetorical techniques. There is a lot of enjambment in this section, primarily because enjambment really helps to make the, a lot of times you'll use enjambment like in comedy and things like that because you delay the punchline or put a surprise down to the next line, but it can also just kind of create a sense of pace where it makes one line drive into the next and it makes you read a little faster as you're going. I think that's what it's doing throughout most of this section. So you have enjambment in the first two lines through Nusquam Bellaforent. You have enjambment again at Rentis Cernimus. Another enjambment at Sub Ipsos Netuntor Gradibus. Another one at Sinistris Protecti Abiciunt. And another one at Demorum Comuna Coelunt. And then again, you have one at Ima Subsed Refores. And that's it for this one. Then let's go back up. You have hyperbole, as if none of the other battles mattered, as if no one were dying in the city. I mentioned it already, but the testudine, that is going to be an example of anachronism. Again, if you're doing scansion, you want to watch out for that parietibus. We would usually pronounce it parietibus, but here it's parietibus, that consonantal I. Okay. Continuing. Watch out for the elision there. This I does not align because again it's consonantal, but this AM is going to align into that N. All right, you've got chiasmus here. Veterum, decora, alta parentum. Veterum and parentum go together. Decora and alta go together. All right, and then down here you have a tricolon. So you've got these three different infinitives being used as a list of the things that's helping to inspire them, helping the king, lightening the men, adding power, well, helping the king's house, adding power to the conquered, right? So tricolon, list of three. And that's probably enough for now. I will go ahead and stop the video there. Voila.